next question follows on something that several of you mentioned in response to the last question. The subject of it is education. And let me try to combine a couple of questions here, if you don't mind. So let me read the first question. What hope would you offer college students who face increased tuition and housing costs that will burden them with loan payments for years to come? And a related question is, do you think that current funding for education in Idaho is adequate, too high, too low? So please comment on that. I'll begin with Mr. Nelson.
So on the last question, I think funding for education is too low, K-12, career technical, and higher education. We've especially left higher education to fend for itself for the last, since the recession, never really caught up, and I think we need to work on that. So the first part of the question was?
It had to do with rising tuition costs.
Oh, tuition, okay. You know, having our young folks graduate college and have a large student loan debt is really a tragedy. I mean, starting out their life with that hanging over their head, and really there's no way to get rid of it. It doesn't go away in bankruptcy if you collapse later. It's going to be there. So I don't have to say I don't have all the solutions on that. One thing I'm particularly interested in is a bill by Representative Sally Toon from Jerome, who wants to do student loan forgiveness for educators who go teach in rural communities. And I think that's a very good idea because it helps our rural communities recruit good teachers, helps the students get their loans forgiven, and if they stay there a number of years, I think it integrates them into the communities and they will likely stay there for a longer time.
Thank you, Senator Foreman.
As far as helping students in college, let me say this. A college education is a product. You have to purchase it. Professors don't work for free. The university has overhead. They have to charge for it. I think the best thing we can do in Idaho to help our college students is have the U of I cut some of their costs and lower their tuition. Let's face it, folks, that's what the kids pay when they go there is tuition, and it keeps going up. 2%, 3.2% every year for the last 3 years. Why? They need to cut some costs and reduce their tuition costs. I think education in Idaho is adequately funded. We're first in the nation for year-to-year increases in teacher pay and administrator pay. We're sixth in the nation for year-to-year increases in total K-12 funding. We're 16th in the nation for percentage of total spending on K-12 schools. We're second in the nation for highest year-to-year increase in state funding for higher education. And we're fifth in the nation for college-ready students. Idaho's ranked 26th for total budget funding for higher education. And we're ranked 30th, pretty close to the middle of the 51. That's the states plus DC for total effectiveness of our public education system. We're ranked dead last, 50th in per capita spending. To me, that spells efficiency. We're middle of the pack in terms of overall academic performance, room for improvement, and we're at the top for recent improvements in teacher pay and funding for our public school system. So when you hear people on the left scream about how we have a terrible school system, we need more money, not true. Look at the facts. It's important to see the whole picture. So that is my answer to the school question.
Thank you. Representative Gannon.
Well, Sally Toon is my roommate, and our districts are very much alike because hers is Gooding and Sun Valley. And we do talk a lot about education. She's a teacher, and while that is one of the ways we're looking as helping teachers get reimbursement if they're willing to go, the other conversation that has come up, and I'm kind of getting on board with, is working with the private sector more and saying, look, these young people are going to school, their parents and themselves are building this debt. Would you make a deal where you would help fund some of it when they come to work for your company and offer to work for a couple of years. So there's a lot of ways that we can go with that. But I do know one thing, and it's important. First of all, there is a gem in this town, and it's called the University of Idaho. And I hope you are all as proud of it as the rest of us who don't get to live here. Get a lot of bang for your buck. But if we keep cutting colleges, any of them, what we end up with is a school that has to keep cutting programs. And I have watched U of I cut one program after another. And while WSU has soaring recruitment this year, our student levels are like this. They don't move. And a lot of young people are looking for something specific, and if they can't get it, they're going to go somewhere else. I think college funding is as important for us to pay attention to as is K-12. And I'm just hoping that we can start to have those conversations in Education Committee and on the floor of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley.
Well, I've spent 5 years on the State Board of Education, and some of the comments that have been made just aren't true. We worked very hard to get rid of the duplication that existed between the universities. We made some mistakes long ago when we stood up some action in universities, and we wound up splitting out. But we've gone back and we've taken a look at where we are and what we do. What does each university do well? And that's what we should concentrate. I'm strongly in favor of continue to recognize and appropriately reward our educational professionals. They deserve the dollars. They're doing things that you and I didn't have to deal with, or our teachers didn't have to deal with when we were in school. There's a school over in Pullman, 400 children, 1/2 time school psychologist to deal with that issue over there. And she has to come out on the playground periodically to deal with issues on the playground. We've got to put that money online for those people. So what did we do at the State Board? We established dual credits. A student can now go to stay in high school and get dual credits. They can come to college with sometimes an AA degree in their back pocket. That's 2 years that they don't have to pay for, reduced cost. We now have what we call a letter of 8 and a letter of 6. What we do is you take the SAT test, we take a look at your score, and we say you qualify for all 8 institutions in the state of Idaho. You get a letter of 8. You get that letter just a few weeks ago, so now you can begin to plan what your college career is going to be. We also took a lot of little scholarships and combined them into what we call an opportunity scholarship. Opportunity scholarship gives you $4,000 if you have a certain GPA. If you have a certain less GPA, you get $3,000. But more importantly, what the legislator this year did, gave the State Board of Education the opportunity to take 20% of that money, bring it about, and give it back to those individuals who had to leave school early and help on the farm or do something else that want to come back to school. They now have a way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sorensen.
Higher education took a real hit when our legislature passed HB 463. That took about $200 million away from funds available for education, gave a tax cut primarily to the rich, and gave about a $4 per year increase or decrease to ordinary working Idahoans. So I think that's the first place you want to look is, are things, are we cutting too much out of the tax base in order to educate our people? Beyond that, yes, student loan debt is hard, it's horrible, and I liked how some of my friends got to go to college. They started a job at a local employer in high school. They got hired right out of high school into good paying jobs, and within a year or so, they started getting sponsored for credits at a local university. We need more programs like that. We need more registered apprenticeships in the trades. Those are some of the good jobs that are going unfilled here in northern Idaho. They're not all tech jobs. Some of them are just jobs where you need to have physical strength, stick-to-itiveness, some skill, some initiative, and good set-along underwear. These things are important. I was married to a guy who sold long underwear. But really, we also need to make sure that our kids are coming to college prepared. Because if you can't get through your 4-year degree in 4 years, college gets a whole lot more expensive. You know, there are still costs for matriculating. There are still the costs of housing, and students end up borrowing for that as well. But if they can't make it through their basic level classes and have to repeat them in order to get into their degree program, that debt load is going to be fierce.
Thank you. Representative Nelson-Troy.
Thank you. I always find it very amusing to hear that that tax cut only benefited the rich when it's, Idaho has 7 tax brackets, and the top tax bracket is income of less than $20,000. So I don't know, the last time I checked, that wasn't making you very rich at $20,000. So of course I think everybody in the world should go to school at the University of Idaho. My daughter's the 4th generation of my family to go to school there and graduate from the U of I. So we're Vandals through and through. And I proposed something yesterday to Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. We have really invested a lot in these opportunity scholarships. I think it would be a wonderful idea to leverage that state support and try and get some more philanthropic support. I've been a fundraiser for 30 years. Donors love to leverage their dollars. We don't need many more dollars, I think, at any of the institutions for merit scholarships. Where we need the scholarships are for those kids that have needs and can't afford to go on to college. So if we could take that burden off of those families, I think that would be a really powerful thing to do. I have no interest in trying to cut professors. Brilliant professors make a wonderful university, and I think we have a great university here at the U of I. I'm very concerned about some of the other components of a land-grant university, the extension service and the research component of the University of Idaho. It makes such a big difference to the bottom line of this state. And we have, I loved it when Gary Michael was president, he used to say that we started out Idaho funded, then we became Idaho supported, and we're now Idaho located. So I'd like to try and turn that around and keep a balance and not forget about extension and research.
Thank you.